everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. I'm Nitin, product marketer here at Utthunga, focusing specifically on OPC-UA. I have with me Mr. Andreas Fat, and today we're here to talk about how machine builders and the mechanical industry as a whole is leveraging OPC-UA and what benefits it has to offer. So, for everybody in the industrial automation space or the IIoT world in general, I think Andreas is an important figure because he's a pretty strong advocate for interoperability and what it can sort of offer, and also very instrumental in OPC-UA adoption and over the years and how that has progressed. So, firstly, thanks Andreas for taking time and being a part of this. So,
very much, it's an honor.
So,
Thank you.
So, give us a little more insight into you and what the MD of Machine Information Operability does, and what is your day-to-day sort of thing that happens?
Yeah. So, again, thank you very much for this possibility to show the, let's say, content. What we are thinking is really critical for the future in automation and smart manufacturing. Maybe I shortly start with myself. My name is Andreas Fat. I am head of the department Machine Information Interoperability. So I'm leading the whole topic on interoperability, also including, for example, the topic of OPCUA, but also, for example, the content on digital twin, and maybe also how those two concepts fit together. Yeah. And yeah, maybe I just go shortly into what is the VDMA, my company where I'm working at. And the VDMA is an association with the mechanical engineering industry, and we got round about 3,500 member companies. So it's not the people who gets a member, it's always a company who gets a member of the VDMA. And for that, of course, our headquarters is in Germany, but we are acting really worldwide, and our association is also really with a global focus, because we want to achieve that the world economy on mechanical engineering industry is driving forward by better technology, better products, and higher efficiency and better global collaboration. So my department is one of, let's say, the VDMA's main departments. We got about 38 trade associations covering the different areas of mechanical engineering industry. So, for example, agricultural, robotic, pumps, plastic, rubber machinery. And we have those departments that are covering topics that are important and relevant for the whole industry, like, for example, interoperability. So to put it in a nutshell, we are representing the broad manufacturing industry, not only from Europe, but from all over the world. And for example, we also get an office in India.
Got it. Great. So I think I have a pretty decent understanding of what VDMA does and what they offer to the industry as a whole, right? So one of the main things that I think what you guys do really well is essentially being like a collective voice for these end customers, because a lot of what goes into like the standards and technology that is introduced into the world, customers don't really have too much of a say, and a lot of it is just like shoved down their throat, right? So but I think what you guys do really well is represent their voice, get them involved in every stage of the way. And I think OPC-UA is one of the big examples of what you've done and some of the success that it has already offered. So let's dive into a little more detail on let's say what VDMA does for Industry 4.0 and the customers that want to go on the digital transformation journey. Is there anything specific that you guys take them on, or is there like a regular sort of feedback from the industry that you garner to these technologies, and how does that essentially work?
Yeah, so let's go first in the process. And I try to link it a little bit to OPCUA because this is our topic today. Yeah. In general, with our members, we have really from the broad manufacturing industry, we got a lot of discussions. We are checking with them are there any trends? Are there any pains? Where do you see what is upcoming, and what are the tasks or the maybe also fears you are handling every day? And this is where we really get a really broad, let's say, idea about the needs and wishes of the industry from a global perspective. And for there, about 7 years ago, we found out that the term IoT or Industry 4.0 are one of the major terms coming up in the industry globally. And from there, we really, let's say, the important thing for us is today that this whole topic on IoT is not as in the beginning something where you say there is IoT and everybody has to figure out what is IoT. Today we are some steps ahead and we think it is clear what is IoT, and there are specific parts inside IoT. And today, for example, the major things we are doing together with the mechanical engineering industry, of course, is the topic of cloud, is the topic of artificial intelligence, and as our major topic today, the topic of interoperability / OPCUA / the global production language based on OPCUA companion specifications. And this is what we are working really hardly on since, let's say, 3 to 4 years. We are really having a lot of groups doing that OPCUA specifications inside the VDMA, and we are acting as a host for this specification work. So we are not owning those groups, we are hosting groups on a neutral platform from the industry for the industry, and we bring those into the discussions between also the integrators, the MES suppliers, the customers like automotive. So we are trying really to have a platform to involve all the stakeholders somehow involved to a specific topic. And this is where really great results can be developed.
Fantastic. So you briefly went into like the whole wish list and the general problems that these end customers, or that specifically here talking about machine builders, right? So can you sort of shed some light into what those typical pain points are? Because let me give you some background into this, because I was doing a bit of study and I came across this specific survey that one of the leading OEMs, Bosch, did for some of their customers, and they sort of found that one of their greatest pain points, which more than 60% of them felt, was software itself, and that is associated to, like, let's say, compatibility, complexity, training, whatever that comes along with it. That was one of the key pain points. If you can sort of like give the voice of the machine builders and some of their pain points when they take on this digital transformation journey, I think that will be beneficial for us.
Yeah, sure. So at first, I would like to split a little bit the machine building industry, because of course we got those really big global companies. They drive the innovations.
Yeah.
They are facing the innovation, they are doing the innovation, and they don't have that much, let's say, challenges like these small and medium-sized enterprises. And specific for this medium and medium-sized enterprises, IoT and digitalization, Industry 4.0 is really something that is not that easy. I would not say that it is a problem, but they have a challenge, and the challenge is, as you said, there has to be a lot of knowledge, there has to be more education, and there has also be a change in the culture inside the businesses. What we see is that on the market, there are so many opportunities, so different technology concepts, organizations, software, and it is so huge. There's so many possibilities for especially the small and medium-sized enterprises, that it's hard for them to figure out what is the right way to go, and what is the right software, what is the right concept, how should I change my system landscape, what kind of digitalization should be my part. And there we have just one recommendation. don't think about solutions. Don't think about what is on the market. Think about your company, your business, your challenges. Make pretty clear where are you today, where want you to be in, I don't know, 12 months, and then take small steps and just take those concepts, software and everything that perfectly fit your needs. Don't try to do the big hit and put everything in your small and medium-sized enterprise. This will not work pretty well for you. Just go small steps, really on your needs, go from small step to the next and try to figure out what is the right solution for exactly this little step. And maybe just one thing more, don't forget to look to the big picture. So while you're doing the small steps, still step one back behind and see if everything fits together, because this will be one of the major tasks for every company, that the system landscapes and so on are interoperable to each other, can work with each other, and not like you have small silos where you don't get in, let's say, collaboration or that are not handleable together in one stream.
Yeah, got it. So essentially, I think if I understood correctly, you're talking about the big picture in terms of like, don't really look at it from what the technology has to offer, rather look at it from what your business needs and then choose the right things.
Yeah.
So you did go into some parts of it, of like how things are happening in silos, the interoperability and all of that, right? So generally, like if you look down that path, customers do sort of understand at a high level that they don't want to be locked into like proprietary technologies, and they want that openness and all of that, because it might make sense in the short run but not in the long run. And so which sort of brings me to the question, why is interoperability so essential in the whole industry 4.0 architecture itself?
Yeah, so this is the same answer as to the question, why does VDMA decide on OPCUA as a global production language? And it's pretty clear. If we think of IoT, it is pretty clear the main thing are information and data. This is where everything else is working with AI, cloud, everything based on information. And this information has to be described perfectly in an open, secure, semantic defined way. So what is pretty hard to understand is maybe that, of course, today all the companies are exchanging information, no question, and they are also using those information, no question. In future, it is even more important that all the companies, all the machines, all the software and all the MES suppliers and so on are coming together and deciding to have an interoperable communication architecture. And exactly this architecture is OPCUA, because OPCUA fulfills the requirements of the mechanical engineering industry. And those requirements are pretty clear. It has to be open source. It has to be secure. The architecture has to support different protocols. So this is also the same question. OPCUA is not a protocol. OPCUA has a lot of protocols inside, and it has to be globally accepted. And this is maybe the most important thing for us. It has to allow a semantic machine description. And exactly this semantic machine description, this is what we name a global production language, because in this area, we are doing those so-called OPCUA companion specifications.
Got it. I think you went into the thing before I even sort of crossed my mind. So I wanted to go into like, what were the reasons why you went about deciding OPCUA and all of that. So I think some of those points you covered. So just out of curiosity, right? So essentially, when you sort of decided on OPCUA as the production language, for example, were there any so you gave us an insight of what were the factors that went into deciding OPCUA, but was there ever a situation where you had different competing standards and you had to decide on OPCUA, and what were some of those, if I may ask?
Somehow.
Yeah.
The answer is somehow. There are often, for example, there's often the question, if I want to do a communication from one cloud to the other cloud, why should I not use just MQTT, for example?
Yeah.
And our clear answer is, it is not a question if you should use OPCUA or MQTT. Because on the one hand, MQTT is one of the protocols supported by OPCUA.
Correct. Yeah.
But maybe more important is the use case. Do you just want to fire and forget some information between two clouds without any semantics, without any metadata, without any, I don't know, security by design or whatever? Use MQTT, no problem. It works. Or just shoot something from one cloud to the other. But if you want to have a security by design approach, if you want to have metadata, a semantic description of the information, standards, and so on, then of course use OPCUA over MQTT.
Yep.
So there are, let's say, comparable, or maybe it's not comparable, there are protocols or solutions that are also able to transfer data from A to B, but let's say
Can't package it
solution, one thing that covers all the requirements, this is just given by OPCUA.
Got it. Great. So I think we can dive into like a little more detail of what sort of, can you shed some little more information on OPCUA for machine builders specifically? I think you have multiple working groups working simultaneously on specific segments in the mechanical engineering foray itself. If you can shed some more light into that, I think that will be useful.
Yeah, sure. So at first, today we got 42 active working groups. So that means there are 42 groups where machine builders, customers, integrators, MES suppliers, so all the stakeholders somehow handling with the information, come together and discuss about how to do a companion specification. And I just give you some buzzwords. There is additive manufacturing, there is air pollution control, there are automated vehicles, there are compressors, we have cranes, we have food and processing and packaging machinery, we have foundry machinery, the glass industry is active, integrated assembly solutions, intralogistics, lasers, length measurement, weighing technology, the machine tools, machine vision, robots, plastic and rubber machinery, power transmission, mining, surface technology, textile machinery, and woodworking, to just name, I would say, those who are coming right now really forceful. There are a lot of more that are right now in the beginning, but if we put it into a nutshell, something gets pretty clear. All the groups are defining specifications. It's like little stones of the production. And what we're doing is covering during the time even more and more parts of the production. So from the end user's point of view, it is pretty important that we don't have some gaps. But it's important to have really in the future broadly all the different machines coming together in the shop floor, working over OPCUA and the OPCUA companion specifications worldwide. This is why we name it global production language, because we say on the production globally there should be one language, and this is based of course on OPCUA.
Got it. So you went into a little more detail on these specific working groups, right? So one sort of general question I had is, let's say you spoke about the machine vision working group that's under VDMA. So during the whole process of drafting that companion specification and sort of getting that validated over time and then releasing it and all of that, after that's done, is there like a continuous process that happens to keep that updated, or what is the usual process for that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, go
So
on.
maybe one step back, before we do the release, there is a release candidate. And this release candidate, this is open to everybody. It's open to the public. Everybody from all over the world can give us feedback about our draft. Release candidate is a draft. After we found out the interests of the companies who didn't maybe participate in the group, then we do the release. And after that, the specification on the market. And then those groups are, let's say, still somehow connected, and they are doing a part 2 or maybe also a part 3 covering different use cases, or also from time to time look at the specification and think about, should we add something or should we change something? And then they have to decide, is this a minor change or a major change? And if it's a major change, there will be a new specification. If it's a minor change, there's just an update. But there is still, like in software development, we have to be on track. We have to stay on the road. It's not, it's finished and then it is for 100 years. There is a changing process, of course.
Got it. So we can. So let me take a bigger picture couple of steps back, right? So broadly speaking, when you talk about the manufacturing landscape itself, you would essentially divide that into a greenfield and a brownfield facility. When you look at like a brownfield setup, typically the mindset that follows is, if it works, why change it, right? So and when you have situations like that, and if they do decide to sort of use OPCUA in an IoT sort of space, what role does OPCUA play in like a retrofitting situation? And if you can sort of give us an insight into that, I think that's great.
Yeah. So at first, if somebody is not aiming to change something in the production, don't want to go in direction IoT, don't want to have information exchange and the use of information, and the whole shop floor is running, okay, it is running perfect, don't do anything, of course. But if you think about, be a little bit more innovative or be future ready, and don't lose maybe your position on the market because you slept too long, and you think about doing retrofitting, then this should be definitely something you should think about. If you are doing retrofitting and you're touching your systems, your landscapes, your machinery, take the advantage of this time and use OPCUA. There are also for brownfield really small, let's say, add-on products like a brownfield connector with OPCUA. You don't have to change your whole PLC and everything, or the whole machine. There are brownfield solutions, hardware and software solutions. And if you are doing that, that will be my personal advice. Directly use the global production language, directly use the standards, the information model, the companion specifications, because in future, this will be the major standard for communication on the shop floor. And if you are changing something, be one of the first or one of the first companies doing that, better than waiting too long and see everybody else is doing, and you have to touch again your brownfield and again do retrofitting. Because doing a companion specification, this is just software. You don't need any hardware. This is just one click, import the XML file that is showing the companion specification. The only thing we have to do a little bit investment is getting the OPCUA capability on your machine so that the technology is supported. But this is also something that has not that much money is needed, and it's really easy and tiny thing, which have a huge impact.
Yeah, got it. So if you sort of tie that back to what you said earlier in terms of like, you jump on the IIoT bandwagon in some way or the other, in realizing your business goals, even if it's a small step, but you would have to do it down the line to stay relevant in the market. So leading from that, right? So you could essentially talk about the whole impact of the whole digital transformation or IoT can have on your business. And usually we've seen the concept of like safety, security, and productivity, as we call it, being the most important things that would lead to improvement with the use of all these technologies. So, is there any specific business impacts that you have seen majorly for machine builders and this mechanical engineering industry from OPCUA itself?
Yeah. So there's two sides. On the one side, you can save money. On the other side, you can make money. On saving money for OPCUA, it is easier because during a development process, you don't have to develop so many interfaces for the different vendors, for the different customers, for everybody who wants your machine. Because there is a standard, you have the standard, you take it, all the customers want to have the standard, and you can concentrate just on the, let's say, unique selling points that you have to do on top of the OPCUA standard, the vendor-specific extensions. This is how you save money. Making money is pretty easy because in future, and this is what we are also in discussion with the automotive industry, for example, they will push you to have an OPCUA interface and the specific companion specification implemented if they are willing to buy your machine. So the question is not, can I get more money for the machine? The question is, can I sell it if I don't do OPCUA and the companion specification?
Understood. So I think briefly I've covered everything I wanted to discuss with you, and we have about 5 minutes left to see if we have any questions from our audience. So here's the first one. How does one become part of the working group or get involved in the process of the whole companion specification drafting in their application area of interest?
Yeah. So I try to make it really short. Two possibilities. First possibility, talk to the VDMA India office or to our central department here in Frankfurt. You find our email addresses everywhere on the internet. Just give us a mail, tell us what you want to do or who you are and where you're interested in, and we can integrate you somehow. We have to see how it is possible and what your specific idea is. Yep. Second answer, there is a community called UMATI, Universal Machine Technology Interface. This UMATI community is pretty important for everybody around the world because this community is working on the implementation and the adoption of the global production language. So everybody from around the world come together there and working on how should we really implement the global production language in our shop floor, in our praxis. So customers, machine builders, integrators, cloud vendors, everybody there comes together discussing about how can we now use the specifications that are on the market to bring them directly in the shop floor, in the machines, and how can we really make it a large adoption worldwide. And this is also where I can everybody invite because this is pretty easy because UMATI is open for everybody in every kind of company worldwide.
Got it. So essentially, since you mentioned about UMATI itself, right? So this is who can become part of it? Essentially, is it like individuals or companies themselves, and what sort of contributions are sort of expected throughout the journey of like the universal machine language that you're talking about?
Again, I didn't get the question.
So is it a company that becomes part of UMATI, or is it individuals that want to contribute to their community?
Well, let's say normally it's a company.
Okay.
But if you are the person in the company who's driving the field of OPCUA innovation, then it's pretty easy because your company can get a member, but it's free of charge. So you just have to talk to your manager that you should attend there, and then you as person can, of course, attend the group and be part of the UMATI community.
Got it. I think we have time for another one. So does VDMA run any training programs or workshops on new technologies similar to how you sort of discovered OPCUA in the past and that is more relevant to the mechanical engineering space?
Yeah. So we really have a lot of trainings.
Okay.
We have even a company owned by VDMA that is training for the mechanical engineering industry from a mechanical engineering industry perspective. This is called MBI. This MBI, if you Google MBI VDMA, you will find that. This is also supporting mechanical engineering industry. Also, there are trainings in English. There is also an OPCUA training. So feel free to check their training catalog. If we have any needs for specific trainings, you can also try to give me a mail, and I could probably check if there are trainings. And of course, VDMA India office has also trainings specific for the Indian machine builder markets. So this is also worth to check. Rajit Nath is there, the leader of the VDMA India office.
Okay, great. So I think we're bang on time. So I wish we could go on, but we've tried to keep this brief so that everyone can take time during the working hours to sort of listen to us.
Yeah.
So again, sincere thanks to you, Andres, for coming on board and talking to us, and also everyone to be sort of taking time from your schedules to listen to us. Any final sort of words from you, Andres, before we sign off?
Yeah, maybe. We have a homepage with all the information. Just Google VDMA and OPCUA and you will find that. And in addition, if you are a VDMA member, or even if you are not a member, we have really a pretty new newsletter. The first issue came out in January. This is coming every 2 months. And there we will push the most important information regarding OPCUA in the global production language. And I just can invite everybody of you to do and to check up to sign up for this newsletter. Just give me a mail or do it online. If you give me a mail, it's andreas.fath@vdma.org. So feel free. This is also open for not members.
Sure, we'll put that on in the comments. Great. All right, thanks, Andreas. I think thank you for so much for being a part of this, and that's the end of today. So I sort of say stay tuned for more sessions coming up soon. We'll have more of these industry experts come in and talk about very interesting topics and something that's very business relevant. And so until next time, goodbye and take care of yourself. Thanks. Bye.